Good morning students. Today we will start an important chapter in geometry, lines and angles. If you can see properly, you can see this type of geometries everywhere. See your edge of your desk. Is it a line like this? Okay. See this corner. This is an angle. This type of corner whenever we see, that means they can form an angle. So basically what I want to say, you can see this type of figures everywhere. That's why it is in mathematics. It is not just the abstract mathematics. It exists in nature. And what we will study its types. And we will study its properties, because we can define properties about them. Okay? So we will start the chapter. Lines and angles. Write down the topic. Okay. So first, anyone tell me, what is a line? What is the definition of line? Yes? Yes. A line is a set of points, or we can say a line is a geometry which has only length, no width, no height, like this. It has no width, no height, it has only a length, and it goes endlessly in both directions. In both directions it can go endlessly. Okay? Write down the definition. A line is a set of points which has only length, no width, no height, only length, no width, no height, and it goes endlessly in both directions. Okay? Whenever we represent line, we represent like this. We draw an arrow in both sides because it goes endlessly in both directions. Okay? Now our next part is line segment. You can see that segment means portion of something. So line segment is basically portion of a line. Okay? If I will take a portion of this line, so that means it has two endpoints. Here it is starting and here it ends. Okay? So when I take portion of it, then that is a line segment. And we represent line segment by two alphabets, A, B, like this. Okay? So a line segment, it is a portion. It is a portion of a line, and it has two endpoints. It has two endpoints. Okay. Now the next is ray. Ray. What is a ray? Ray is also a type of a line, but its one point is fixed and another point goes endlessly, like this. Basically, if we torch a light, let's say this is a torch, I torch it, so its ray, this is also ray, like sun ray, torch ray. So ray will come like this, means it is a source, and then ray goes like this, and it can go endlessly it can go. But it starts from this point, means one point is fixed another point is endless. So ray is like this. Okay, it has an initial point and this point is endless. So it is a type of a line which has one endpoint and other point is, and in other direction, and in other direction, in other direction it goes endlessly. Okay, so this is line segment, ray. So in line points there are no end point, it goes in both direction endlessly. Line segment is basically portion of a line. Ray is basically where one point is fixed and in other direction it goes endlessly. Okay. Up to this all of you understand? Now we will go back to angle. So angle I have already said that wherever you see a corner like this, that means it can form an angle. So basically we need a corner. So how to make a corner like this? Let's say this is this a corner, right? So if it is a corner, that means we can make an angle here. Okay. So how to define it mathematically? So mathematically we can define that there are two rays. Okay, there are two rays which has a common point. This is a common point from where two rays are going, like this. Okay. Two rays which has a common point, then they can form an angle. This is the definition of angle. If two rays have a common point, then they can form an angle. Form an angle. Okay. This common point is called vertex of the angle. Vertex of the angle. Okay. And these two rays are called arms of the angle. These two are called arms of the angle. Understand? Now there are different types of angles, and first we will discuss based on the degrees. So you can see this type of angle most probably everywhere. Your corner of your book, you can see that is also right angle. This is a right angle. So right angle we can see more. So we can take it as a initial angle. Okay. Right angle symbol is like this. We will write the definition, first understand it. So this is a right angle. That we know ki right angle degree is 90 degree. This is a 90 degree angle. Now, is it only right angle, only 90 degree angle exists? There are no other angle like 30 degree, 15 degree or 160 degree. All the angles are exist. This angle we can see more. That's why I am discussing it from this angle. So wherever angles are less than 90 degree, this is 90 degree angle. Wherever angle is less than 90 degree means that will be like this or this or this. But it cannot this. If it is less than 90 degree, that means angle can be this, 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 like this. Okay? So basically wherever angle is less than 90 degree, we call that type of angle acute angle. Acute angle. So we can write definitions one by one. So types of angles. First one is acute angle. If angle is you write in your note, I am writing in short, okay? If the angle is greater than 0 degree and less than 90 degree, then it is called acute angle, okay? Now that is acute angle means 30 degree, 60 degree, 70 degree, they are acute angle. For example, 30 degree, 70 degree, they are acute angle. Okay? Now, if the angle is like this, so that means it is greater than 90 degree. If the angle is like this, so that means angle is greater than 90 degree. So wherever angle is greater than 90 degree and this is a straight line. Straight line angle is 180 degree. So wherever angle is greater than 90 degree and less than 180 degree, because this whole angle, this will be also right. This is 180 degree angle, okay? So if angle is greater than 90 degree and less than 180 degree, then this type of angle, they are called obtuse angle. Obtuse angle. Obtuse angle means angle is greater than 90 degree and less than 180 degree. Okay. So right angle is what? Right angle is when angle is 90 degree. Right angle when angle is 90 degree. Straight angle is when angle is 180 degree. Okay. Now another angle left, that is called reflex angle, that we will see. Reflex angle. Like we know how to draw acute angle. Acute angle will be like this, less than 90 degree. So this is an acute angle. Okay. So this is an acute angle. Now one thing that we have to discuss, that here complete revolution, like this is a line, a complete revolution angle is 360 degree. Like circle angle is 360 degree. So a complete revolution angle is 360 degree. So let's say this is 30 degree. Okay. Can we make it complete revolution like this? We can make it. So basically complete revolution is what? 360 degree. Now 30 degree is here. So what about this outside angle? What about this outside angle? This will be what? 360 minus 30 degree. 360 minus 30 degree means 330 degree. So any angle's reflex angle we can derive. Reflex angle is basically some angle. It's outside angle. It's external angle. Okay. And its external angle, if it is acute angle, that means its external angle will be obviously greater than 180 degree. 180 degree, greater than 180 degree and less than 360 degree. So reflex angle definition is angle will be greater than 180 degree, less than 360 degree. Okay. And wherever a question will come that derive reflex angle of 60 degree, then what to do? You have to derive basically 360 degree minus 60 degree, means reflex angle of 60 degree is 360 degree minus 60 degree equal to 300 degree. So in this way we derive any angle's reflex angle, and we know how to draw acute angle, obtuse angle, right angle, straight angle and reflex angle. Now we will get to the next topic. We will see adjacent angles. Adjacent angles are basically two angles they are adjacent. That's why they are called adjacent angles. Okay, like this. This is one angle and this is another angle. They are called adjacent angles. And how to define it? Write down the definition of adjacent angles. So, write if two angles have a common arm, in this figure you can see these two angles has a common arm. This one is the common arm of these two angles, okay, and its non-common arms, these are non-common arms, this one and this one, its non-common arms are on the opposite side of common arms, okay, are on the opposite sides of common arm. So then they are called adjacent angles. That means for adjacent angles there have to be a common arm. Non-common arms are on the opposite sides of the common arms. Then they are called adjacent angles. Now our next one is linear pair of angles. Linear pair of angles are also adjacent angles, but this particular type, linear pair of angles, if two adjacent angles, these non-common arms are exact opposite, means it's, if I draw, okay, so this is, if this ray is exact opposite of this ray, exact opposite of this ray means this one, right? Exact opposite of this ray, then they form these two angles, and these two angles are called linear pair of angles. Linear pair, why it is linear pair? Because this is a straight line, right? Because of opposite ray, this makes a straight line, and this angle, this whole angle is what? This whole angle is 180 degree. So that means these two angles sum will be 180 degree. So that's why they are called linear pair of angles. So if for two adjacent angles, the non-common arms are exact opposite, then they form linear pair of angles. Then they form linear pair of angles. Okay. So its properties, linear pair of angle, is very important because it has a property. It is a property that these two angles sum will be 180 degree. two angles sum, you can write here in linear pair of angles, two angles sum equal to 180. Okay. So this is linear pair of angles, adjacent angles we have discussed. Now there are two types of angles. We have already written this. Okay. So I am writing here. There are two types of angles which are important. Write down the definition. Complementary angles and supplementary angles. What is complementary angle? Complementary angles. Complementary angles, in complementary angles, basically there are two angles. Also in supplementary angles, there are two angles. We will talk about two angles in these two definitions, complementary angles and supplementary angles. In complementary angles, two angles sum is 90 degree. If two angles sum is 90 degree, then they are called complementary angles. If two angles sum is 180 degree, then they are called supplementary angles. Let x and y are two angles. Okay. If x plus y equal to 90 degree, then x and y are called complementary angles. Then x and y are complementary angles. Okay. For supplementary angles, if x plus y is 180 degree, then they are called supplementary angles. If x plus y equal to 180 degree, then x and y are supplementary angles. Okay. So, if I ask a question, if x plus 30 degree and 60 degree, x plus 30 degree and 60 degree are supplementary angles. Then what is the value of x? X plus 30 degree and 60 degree are supplementary angles, then what is the value of x? So supplementary angle means these are two angles given. Supplementary angle means these two angles sum is what? 180 degree. So we can write x plus 30 degree plus 60 degree equal to what? 180 degree. Now x is unknown, that's why we derive the value of the x. So we can add 30 degree, 60 degree, it will be what? 90 degree. So x plus 90 degree equal to 180 degree. Now take 90 degree to right hand side, it will be x equal to 180 degree minus 90 degree. It will be 90 degree. Right? So value of the x is 90 degree. This type of question come from complementary angles and supplementary angles. So if we draw two lines together, whenever we draw two lines together, it will be like this. It can be like this. Okay. It can be like this. Like the railway track. Okay. So basically whenever we draw two lines, two things can happen, two cases can happen. Either distance between them will changing always. Okay. Or in this case, I have drawn these two parallel lines. Parallel lines means basically distance between them. If distance between them is something like d, we can suppose that the distance between them is d. Okay. Then this d distance will always same throughout this whole figure, because in both directions it goes endlessly, and for endless path distance between them always will be same. But in these two figure it cannot be same. So two cases can happen. Either its distance between them is changing always, or it is not changing. If it is not changing, that means they are parallel lines. Parallel lines can never meet at any point because its distance is always same. But here distance is changing. Distance is changing means here I can see that it is intersecting at this point. Okay. Because distance is changing, so at some point it will intersect because it goes endlessly. Okay. Here we can see that it is not intersecting at least up to this point, but after going more further it will intersect at some point. Okay. So there are two types of lines. When two lines are we are drawing, two types happen: parallel lines or intersecting lines. And intersecting lines. Okay. So I have discussed that for parallel lines, distance between these two lines always same. It doesn't change. But for intersecting lines, distance between them always change. That's why at some point it will intersect. They will intersect. Okay. Now, for parallel lines and intersecting lines, we can see some angles and their properties. Like for intersecting lines, these are two intersecting lines. Okay. These are two intersecting lines. You can see these angles. You can see these two angles. They are opposite. They are called vertically opposite angles. They are called vertically opposite angles, and their property is that they are equal. Vertically opposite angles are equal. So there are, for two intersecting lines, two pair of, this is one pair of vertically opposite angle, this is one pair of vertically opposite angle. These two are equal, these two are equal. Okay. Two pair of vertically opposite angles formed. Vertically opposite angles formed. And their properties is that they are equal. Vertically opposite angles are equal. Vertically opposite angles are equal. Okay. So we have done for intersecting lines. Now we will go for parallel lines. Okay. These are two lines which are parallel. Now this is a line intersecting these two parallel lines. A line which intersects two or more lines, that line is called transversal. So this line is called transversal. Okay. Here this transversal is intersecting two parallel lines. Because why we are discussing this? Because in this intersecting we will get some different type of angles and their properties are very important. So first name it different angle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. So in these intersections what angles are found? We have named it as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Now these angles have very good properties. Can you see this angle? Okay. 1 minute. We can take it one by one. This angle and this angle. Can you see it? This angle is above this line, above the parallel line. This angle is also above the parallel line. Also it is at the same side of the transversal. Same, it both is in right side and above the parallel line. So they are basically almost looking like angles, like same pattern angles. That's why they are called corresponding angles. Okay. Can you see any other angle which are same, look alike? 2 and 6. 2 is also above the line, 6 is also above the line, and they both are in left hand side. So 2 and 6 are also corresponding angles. Also you can see 3 is under the parallel line, 7 is under the parallel line and also in the same side. They are corresponding angles. 4, 8, they are corresponding angles. And corresponding angles property is that they are equal. Okay. So it is a very good property is that they are look alike and they are equal. So our first one is corresponding angles. Corresponding angles. So in this figure, what are the corresponding angles? 1 and 5. Okay. And 2 and 6. 2 and 6. 3 and 7. 3 and 7. 4 and 8. 4 and 8. And their what? Corresponding angles are equal. So corresponding angles are equal. Okay. Now our next angles. Okay. Next angle is alternate angle. Here we talk about look-alike angles which are at the same side of the transversal. Alternate angles. Alternate angle means they will be opposite side, not on the same side, opposite. Alternate. Okay. So like you can see this angle, this one, and this one. They are at opposite side. Basically, whenever alternate angle forms, you can see like this, almost like a Z form. Alternate angles always form like a Z. Or we can say that it will be in the transversal one side, means if it is in right hand side, it will be left hand side. 4 and 6 both are under the line, and it is in right hand side, it is in left hand side. Okay. So that's why they are called alternate angle. And alternate angles property is also that alternate angles are equal. Okay. So there are two types of alternate angles. One is interior, like this is under the line. Under the line means interior. So this is alternate interior angles. Now if we see this one, this one, okay. 1 is here and 7 is here. This is at external part, not in internal means this thing is internal, okay. So this one and this one, they are alternate exterior angles. Okay. 4 and 6 are alternate interior angles. 1 and 7 is alternate exterior angles. Okay. So write alternate interior angles What are the alternate interior angles? Alternate interior angles are 4 and 6, 3 and 5. Okay? 4 and 6, 3 and 5. They are also what? They are equal. They are equal. Okay. Alternate exterior angles. Alternate exterior angles. They will be outside the inner part. Alternate exterior angle means they will be outside this interior part. 1 and 7. These two are alternate exterior angles. Also you can see that 2, these 2 and 8, they are alternate exterior angles. Okay. 1 and 7 and 2 and 8. Their property is also that they are equal. Okay. Now next one is co-interior angles. Co-interior angles. Co-interior angles. Here in the whole definition we are discussing two angles together. We are talking about two angles. Two angles can be corresponding angles. Mean 1 and 5 they are corresponding angles. Also 4 and 6 they are alternate interior angles. So we are talking about two angles here. So here basically co-interior means two angles, but they all are interior angles. Means they will be in this part. Okay. So in this part there are four angles. 4, 3, 5, 6. Okay. Co-interior angles are almost like corresponding angles. They will be on the same side. They will be on the same side, but they should be interior. Not like corresponding angles. What? It is look alike. Means if it is above the line, the other angle will be also above the line, not under the line. Okay. So in co-interior angles, you can see that these two angles are on the same side. These two angles are on the same side. So 4 and 5 are called co-interior angles. Why they are important? Because this co-interior angle property is that their sum will be 180 degree. Means they are supplementary angles. Here 4 and 5 sum is 180 degree. So co-interior angles are 3, angle 3 and angle 6 and angle 4 and angle 5. Co-interior angles property is that their sum will be 180 degree. Angle 3 plus angle 6 equal to 180 degree and angle 4 plus angle 5 equal to 180 degree. Means co-interior angles are basically supplementary angles. Okay. Now one angle already we have discussed. Whenever two lines are intersecting, here two lines are intersecting, here two lines are intersecting. Whenever two lines are intersecting, vertically opposite angles will be formed. So these 1 and 3 are what? Vertically opposite angle. That's why they are equal. These 2 and 4 are what? Vertically opposite angle. That's why they are equal. Same goes here. Okay. Understand? So basically in this intersection we get corresponding angles, alternate interior angles, alternate exterior angles, co-interior angles, and fifth one is vertically opposite angles. Okay. And in this, from this discussion we can solve many types of figures where angles involved, like if there are two parallel lines. Okay, there are two parallel lines, a figure is given like this. Okay, now it is given that this angle is 35 degree. Okay. This angle is 65 degree. Okay. Now we have to derive this angle. What is the value of x? So how to derive it? What is the value of this angle we have to derive? How to derive it? We will derive it by those properties which we have already learned. So how to derive it? We have to derive this angle. So for that, what you will do? These two are parallel lines. So draw another parallel lines passing through this point. Okay. We have drawn another parallel lines passing through this point. So because this line passing through this point, so there are two angles we get, and these two angles sum is equal to this whole angle. Okay. So these are two parallel lines. This line is parallel to this line, and this is a transversal, right or not? This is a transversal because this line intersecting these two parallel lines, and you can see that, you can see here Z is forming like this. Wherever Z is forming, there are parallel lines and transversal, so that means they are alternate angles. So can we write this angle and this angle are alternate angle? Means this angle is what? 65 degree. Also this line and this line are parallel, and this line is the transversal. So can you see here also Z form is arise. Okay, so that means these two angles are also alternate angles. So this angle is 35. So we get these two angles. So can we derive this whole angle? Because they are what? Adjacent angles. In adjacent angles, this whole angle is basically parted in two angles. So our value of x is 65 degree plus 35 degree. So means this angle value is what? 100 degree. Okay. So in this way we solve different type of questions which involve this type of angles. We can use these angle properties, linear pair of angles properties, supplementary angles properties. We'll solve this type of question. Okay.